Hi friends, and thanks for being here. I'm so excited about today's interactive cards. I have 4 different examples to show you, one for every person on your card sending list, and I will show you really quickly how easy they are to come together. At the end, we're going to talk about the anti-New Year's resolution, so I hope you'll stick around. I have 3 of these pull tab cards to show you that are already ready, and my favorite is the one we are going to put together. So let me show you how they work. This is one, I made this with a stamp set called Feathered Flight. So how they all work is you pull on the little tab. So you can put an arrow on them or write the word pull or stamp an arrow, whatever you want to do. I kept it simple. I just drew a little arrow on them. And when you pull the tab, it reveals a little message. So that one, that's from a stamp set called Feathered Flight. This is from one called Hot Air Balloon. So you pull up on this, and I have the Wish Big right here. I thought that was really cute. Up, up, and away. Hooray, it's your birthday. This one says Dad, and we have these adorable tools. And you pull it, and it says thank you. So the one we're going to make together is perfect for kids, and I'll show you how simple it is to make these. So what you're going to need is you need a top piece, decorated already however you want it. So for this one, I already had these 3 strips of designer paper added to a piece of cardstock on the back just to hold them all together. For this one, I had already put that little pond-like piece on top of this designer paper. So have the piece you want on top already ready. And then whatever you want on the card itself, have that ready. So I wanted this white layer behind this. Keep in mind, whatever is behind your top layer needs to be light enough in color to stamp on it. So for this one, I used crumb cake. That works because you can still see the stamping on it, but you want to use some kind of light color behind your top piece. Okay, it could be your card base can be a light color, or if you put a mat on, you may want that to be light in color as well. This piece measures 4 by 5 1/4. This one is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then my card base is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. Now, I will mention this. You may want to start with a little bit narrower card if you're concerned. If you want your tab to stick out very far at all, you will want to start with a little bit narrower to make sure this all fits in an envelope. I made my tab really small so it will still fit inside the envelope. So what we need first is this piece, the top piece. We need to cut the hole in this so that when the tab is pulled, we will be able to see the little message behind it. So I'm going to try and explain this in a way that allows you to make adjustments for this, to do this with lots of different cards, because I've cut the little strip out. You can cut it with lots of different dimensions. So I am going to, I'll try and explain it with the basic, pretty basic guidelines that I've used on these cards, but then you can cut the strip wider depending on if you have a bigger greeting. You can cut it shorter, you can cut it longer, but the one I'm going to share with you should work pretty well for most cards. So I am lining this up. You can line this up left and right wherever you want it. It's wherever you want that cutout to be. So it may be on this side, it may be down here near the bottom. I want my submarine. Isn't this adorable? This is from a new set called Submarine Life. Here are the stamps and the coordinating punch that goes with it. We have tons of new products available today, including all of these that I have just shown you on these cards. So I have links in the video description below. You can take a look at them if you want. I'm going to move this over a little bit more to... Okay, we're going to do this. Right now, the edge of my cardstock is at 2 1/2. Yours doesn't have to be. It could be anywhere left and right, wherever you want that cutout to be. So I have not cut anything. I have lined my blade up at the 1/2 inch mark. I put it down. I am going to cut from there until the 4 3/4 inch mark. So basically I left a 1/2 inch at this end not cut. I left a 1/2 inch at this end not cut. So if you're using a different size piece of paper, just leave some at each end, not cut. Raise up the arm, and my suggestion is to cut a 1/2 inch opening just as a guideline. One of the ones I made was smaller. You can make them larger if you want, but I just moved this over 1/2 inch, so now I'm at 2 inches right here. I'm going to do the same thing. Lower this at 1/2 inch, cut from there until 4 3/4. So I have 2 cuts right there. I'm done with my trimmer. I get a lot of questions about the lines on my trimmer. I will link to a video in the description below that explains why all those lines are on there and how it helps me cut card bases and card mats. So now I'm going to use my trimmers and just cut the end straight. I will mention, and you may have seen these, there are punches and there are dies that can make this really easy. If you have a long skinny die, you can run this through your die cutting machine and it will do the work for you. Or there are punches that are narrow that you can punch here, move it over, punch again, and have a long narrow strip. So keep that in mind. If you have those tools in your collection, you can do that and it will make it a little bit easier. So after we have cut that, the next thing we need to do is stamp the greeting onto the card front. I'm going to use the greeting floating by just to say hi. Cute, right? So I'm going to mention this. If you are not sure if the greeting is going to fit in your cut area or not, if you're afraid it may end up stamped on your top piece, here is what I did. I made 2 little marks with my pencil. And if your greeting is small enough, you can just leave it laying right here, stamp it right there, and go on. I am not sure. I don't want my greeting, part of my greeting, to end up stamped on that top piece. So I am going to do it this way. Now I know where my cutout is going to be. So stamp that greeting. And now we're ready to get this top piece ready and attached on. So we need to pop this up, and you can use regular dimensionals. My preferred method is to use these foam strips, and I have cut them down. They come in longer pieces. I have cut them down to the right length, so they're just a little bit shorter than my front piece here. So I'll put one at each edge, and then we need a piece about 1 inch wide, 3/4 of an inch or 1 inch wide. And you want to lay this on your card so that it covers up that little cutout. The reason we need it here right now is we want to lay foam strips along the edge of it. Okay, as close as possible as you can get without actually putting them on top. So this is going to create a little channel in there that is going to keep that strip secure so it doesn't wobble around very much. If you want to put more dimensionals in between, you can, but this should be enough to make everything work properly. So now we can remove these foam backing pieces. We'll put that piece on top of our card base. Make sure it's where you want it before you drop it. I have a hard time lining things up with my camera, but that looks good. Okay, so we have this attached on and our strip will slide in and out. This strip, I usually start with it about 6 inches long. I usually start with it longer than needed, and then I cut it down when I'm ready. So I'm going to slide this in until it just reaches the end of the little cutout. Just past it. Now I need to add some pop-ups so that I can add my cute little whatever is going to decorate on top, my little submarine here. Need to add some dimensionals to pop this up and to attach it to the pull tab strip. I encourage you to make these Well, I'll say, okay, so when I used the regular dimensionals, I used about 3 of them. So I like to keep this pretty short and not the entire length of whatever my decoration is. If we put dimensionals all the way to the front, when we pull it, it's going to stop moving sooner, which gives you less room for your greeting, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to keep my dimensionals back here towards the back, and then the front part will not have any underneath it. So I am going to I'll hold this strip in place with my fingers so I don't knock it around. I'll put one there. I like to, when I'm using foam tabs for part of my project, I like to use them for all the project. They're a little bit thicker than the regular dimensionals. So this keeps everything at the same height. So I put those on. I like where that is. I'll press down. That attaches my little submarine to the pull tab strip, and as we pull it forward, you can see the greeting revealed. So I'll show you what I mean. If I had put dimensionals on to the very front of this, it would stop moving right about there. And you can see my entire greeting. But the reason I suggested not putting them on up here at the front is because this allows us to keep moving. So if you do have a longer greeting, you'll have a little bit more space in there for it, okay? So now that we have done this, we can cut off the extra part of the tab. We can make our little mark on here to either write the word pull or draw a little arrow. Draw my little arrow here. We'll cut this off, and our pull tab card is ready. So I mentioned that lots of new products are available today. Like I said, I'm going to link to them below. But here are the 4 cards we made. One more time, I'll show you. This is the one with the hot air balloon set. So the greeting that's revealed is Wish Big. The dad card, this is the trusty tools set. And then this one with feathered flight. So I'll mention right now, if you do shop, if you see anything you like, you want to do some ordering, Celebration is going on. Every time you spend $50, for every $50 you spend, you get to choose a free product. We have stamp sets, we have paper packs, all kinds of really cool products for free. This tool paper pack is one of them. I cut these tools out of the paper pack with the die set. They coordinate, but I just cut these out of the paper. So lots of free options. I wanted to mention that so that you know what is happening with Celebration. Okay, friends, I'm going to flip my camera around. We'll talk about the anti-New Year's resolution. So the anti-New Year's resolution. I know this time of year, lots of people set New Year's resolutions, and I don't want to discourage anyone from doing that. I did hear a while back that by the beginning of February, like 95% of people have already stopped their New Year's resolutions, which I find a little bit comical. It's never been something that I've jumped on board with all the time. But anyway, I thought that was kind of humorous. But when we do these New Year's resolutions, a lot of times we're trying to do something new. We're trying to add something to our schedules. So what I mean by the anti-New Year's resolution is maybe we should consider doing less and slowing down a little bit, okay? If we're adding exercise to our plate, if we're going to eat healthier, we're going to read our Bible more, we're going to do all these things. And those are all outstanding things to do. But a lot of times, I know in my life, I add this new thing and I add this new thing and I join this group and then I volunteer to be the leader of this other thing and I'm going to be in charge of this. And we can't just keep adding more and more to our schedules. In my reading, learning about health and wellness, and all kinds of things to try to get healthier myself, one of the things I keep coming across is that our bodies get stuck in fight or flight mode. So we have these 2 parts of our nervous system, the sympathetic, autonomic, and I don't know. So there's sympathetic and parasympathetic. So sympathetic, I think, is our fight or flight mode. And parasympathetic, I believe, is the one that calms us down. The rest and digest mode, I hear it referred to. And because of our modern lifestyles and the way we treat ourselves and our bodies, a lot of us are getting stuck in sympathetic, I think it is, the fight or flight mode. So, what can we do to get out of that and calm our bodies back down? Because it's really important for our bodies that we can come down from that. Yes, we all have stress in our lives, but can we come back from that? Can we calm down and allow our bodies to recover instead of just being stuck all the time in stress mode? So one of the things that's really important for that is just to slow down. So I encourage you, I know it is something new to add to the schedule if you're busy all the time, if you're always doing things. I know it is one more thing to take some time out of your day, but I encourage you to think about slowing down a little bit. Do something for yourself. One of the things I've been doing when I get worked up and I can tell my body is becoming anxious and I'm not getting out of it is deep breathing. Just some deep breathing for like 10 counts can really help to relax you. I've done a little bit of yoga, but things that can calm you down without taking time out of your day are like deep breathing or just being aware of the fact that maybe your body is getting a little bit tense and it's time to slow down. Maybe it's time to sit down for a few minutes. Maybe it's time just to do some deep breathing or listen to some calming music for a few minutes or something like that. But as we are always wanting to do more and more, I encourage you to think about doing less and less because sometimes that's what we need. Thanks for being here. I hope you have a blessed day, and I hope you'll be back again next time when I'll be here helping you to hand make with love.